Hey now, welcome back to Lone Star Mini Restoration. Today's episode is about comparing the new boot floor against the existing boot floor. Okay, so I got my new boot floor in last night. It arrived about 9 p.m. I opened it up and everything looks good. Unfortunately, I can't take a tape measure to it and compare that way because I've taken too much out of the existing one. And I've had to piece the existing one together. But there's a few differences that I've noticed. But there's also a couple things I'm going to salvage. And then I may check fit the new boot floor into the shell. Alright, so here's the existing floor pan. It's cut up into 3 pieces and just kind of laying on my table saw. There's the new floor pan over there. I've been told by one of the guys I've been talking back and forth with, Mr. Paul Robinson. He said he found like 14 different differences. I don't know that I have found that many, nowhere near that many, but the ones that I have found are kind of questionable, or I have flags with them. For example, the first one, most of them you can see from the bottom side of the boot floor, so that's why I've got them flipped over. First of all, this guy right here, this bracket, I don't know what this bracket goes to. If anybody knows, I would love to know. Do I need to salvage that? I'll plan on salvaging it or trying to as best I can. We'll see. The other thing I am going to salvage is this vertical support that comes from the bench that goes to the tunnel on the main floor panel. I'm going to salvage that. I am also going to salvage the battery box. This one looks to be okay, so I'm going to try to salvage that. But another difference, and the floor panel's upside down right now, but right here along the very front edge of the bench, there's a stiffener that runs from left companion bin to right companion bin. This stiffener is not on the new floor pan. All it is a simple little L angle, and again, I'm probably going to try to salvage it or make one. I don't know what will be easier. I'll probably try to salvage it just for the fun of it. So that's a difference. Another difference is this bolt on the back side of the battery box is not on the new floor pan. I'm guessing that's for the negative ground cable. And then you come back here to the new one, that bolt doesn't exist. So that's a difference. Another difference is this is where my fuel lines penetrate the boot floor and go up to the fuel tank. Of course, these holes have been knackered a little bit. They're not round anymore. But on the new floor pan, I've got a one large elongated. I also, with this, I did buy the grommet that goes in here, and it looks like it allows 3 fuel lines to come down through. Will I need all 3? I don't know. A question that I have, I've not really been able to determine if it's a difference, but this hole there, there's one on both sides. There's one there, and if you can see over there, there's one over there. But that hole basically is inside the valence panel closeout, that corner piece that gets welded in here that had the frickin' newspaper and all that in it. I'm guessing, I don't know what that hole is for, because once that closeout here, this becomes an enclosed area. So I'm guessing maybe that's just for to allow it to breathe. I don't really know. Okay, so the other difference, the last difference that I can really find is in the seat. On the existing floor pan or boot floor, the bench seat, you can see the bench has these nice rectangular spots for your butt, right? On both sides, nice rectangular spots. Of course, I know there's cushion in there, but nice rectangular. On the new floor pan, however, one side is nice and rectangular, but this side has this whole rectangular divot out of it. Now, I'm only guessing that maybe there's a component on the newer minis on somewhere that needs a little bit of clearance here. So maybe that's why that's there. I don't know. Fortunately, I won't have many people sitting in the back of the Mini, so the fact that their butt might be a little bit more uncomfortable than that guy over there, well, we'll see. Other than that, I don't really know of any differences. Other differences, again, I've cut a whole heck of a lot out. Maybe if it was all one piece or still on the car, I could find some other differences. I could take some measurements, but at this point, I don't know. So there's a few parts that I'm going to salvage, and then right now, I'm actually, while I've got the Mini turned upside down, I'm going to do a check fit of the new boot floor. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to just try to get it in there. And see how it fits. So here we go. All right, it went in fairly easy. There was one piece of metal slag that was keeping this floor pan in on the left-hand side. I couldn't quite get the bolt lined up, and I was like, what in the world? Well, when I cut all that rust and stuff out, there was a piece that had flipped over, and it was on the inside, so I had to cut that out. Once I cut that out, the bolt fell pretty much right into place. And I'm kind of pleased with the fit. Of course, I used a block and a leather hammer, and I just kind of knocked it all down into place. And I will show you what I have. All right, I really can't see up here because all this is cut away. But this seam here with the arch, of course, have the Mini Spares tape on it. But it's, I mean, yeah, there are places that aren't as round as the new floor plan, but look at how nice and tight that seam is. I don't know that I could ask for better. It separates a little bit right there. So, and then down at the bottom, similar deal. Down at the bottom, I mean, it pretty much takes a shape nicely. I mean, there's a little, my gosh, a little separation. I wouldn't call that much at all. It gets tight, 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 and it hugs it all the way. Literally, there's maybe a little separation here. I've not even tried to pull that in. You know, I'm sure. And the other thing that I have noticed is that there is a slight offset. I don't think it's as big. The edges, of course, they're not flush like the other one, but this one looks a little bit closer to being flush. But all in all, I think it's a pretty doggone good fit. Let's see, along the back edge, I haven't really looked at this yet. Of course, I'm replacing this. I'm going to be replacing this, but I mean, it pulls up easily, right? The new boot floor is proud of this. Here, let me see if I can get that in the shot. The new boot floor is a little bit proud of this, but this, I mean, this is no longer tied to anything, so that could easily pull up. So then, So now let me flip the car over or upright, and then we'll look at the bench area. All right, well, I flipped the car upright, and you can see that there's a gap between the backrest right in there and the bench. But look, it's also sagging. See my lines where I marked? It's also sagging, so I am sure the bench can easily be pushed up. All in all, I think it's a decent fit. All right, so these bolts here from my jig, they lined up fairly nicely. And then looking at the seat belt bracket there in the center back there, I mean, it looks like the floor pan needs to come up a little bit. And I haven't tried to mess with that, but I don't think I'm going to have a problem there. So I'm going to play with that a little bit. So I'm probably going to flip the Mini back upside down, and I'm just going to play with it, try to get the floor pan to come up a little bit. I don't think it's going to be a problem at all because there's nothing holding it. It's just a matter of, you know, being gentle and knocking it down. I will have to say, before I found that piece of burned slag in there, you know, when that bolt wasn't lining up, you know, I was kind of scratching my head, and I remember there's one bolt on the jig that I had to slot, and I was like, well, that didn't make sense. And I had to fight the urge to beat it to submission. I was like, no, do it right. You know, back up, take a step back, deep breath, whatever, and find the problem. There's a reason why it's not doing it. And sure enough, as soon as I did that, I found that piece of slag that was bent over on the inside, preventing it to come up flush. But I'm going to call this one a wrap. It's simple. It looks like the new boot floor. Now I've got to put in the heel board, the rear subframe mounting panel, aka heel board. I'm going to put that in and kind of check fit it all together and start getting an idea of how this bad boy's going together. The shell feels heavier. I don't know why, but it does. Like when I flip it, it feels heavier. I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you for tuning in. If you've noticed anything that I've missed, please let me know. Otherwise, yeah, stay tuned still for the giveaway. I haven't given it much thought since my last video, but again, it's these guys. These guys are going to be the giveaway. Stubby wrenches, ratcheting wrenches that are pretty awesome. But thank you for watching. All right, bye just now.